I remember the chill of that winter evening when trust shattered like ice underfoot, the kind of cold that seeps into your bones and lingers long after the sun rises. I was Nora, a savvy stock trader at Apex Capital, a high-rise firm in the heart of the financial district where the air hummed with the constant tick of market updates and the scent of fresh coffee mixed with ambition. I'd built my reputation meticulously over years, spotting market gems that turned modest investments into windfalls for our clients, analyzing trends with a precision that came from late nights poring over charts and economic reports. My colleague, Blaine, was the ambitious type, always hovering over my shoulder with that false camaraderie, his eyes darting to my screens as if he could absorb my insights through osmosis. One fateful trade stood out, a high-stakes options play on a volatile tech stock I'd researched for weeks, diving deep into earnings calls, competitor analyses and global supply chain disruptions to predict a surge. I'd confided a snippet to him during a team brainstorm, thinking collaboration bred success. But he mirrored it secretly, executing the trade first through a shadow account, reaping the profits while my position lagged due to his preemptive move, costing me a fortune in commissions and bonuses that I'd earmarked for a much-needed family vacation. Financially, it left me scrambling to cover bills, my savings depleted faster than a bear market crash, forcing me to dip into emergency funds and even consider side gigs just to stay afloat. The betrayal burned, a quiet fury that kept me awake, replaying every interaction where his praise now seemed laced with calculation. But I turned the tide with meticulous revenge, channeling that energy into a plan as strategic as any portfolio diversification. No market manipulation or unethical shortcuts that could jeopardize my license. Instead, I analyzed his patterns methodically, noting how he skimmed data from shared drives during off hours, leaving digital footprints in access logs that I cross-referenced with timestamps. I secured my own strategies with encrypted files and two-factor authentication, turning my workstation into a fortress. Then I tipped off compliance anonymously with a detailed report backed by those irrefutable logs showing his unauthorized accesses, all while maintaining my professional demeanor in meetings. While that investigation brewed in the background like a slow-building rally, I diversified into crypto trading on my own time, educating myself through online forums and white papers, building a personal portfolio of altcoins and NFTs that outperformed the firm's conservative funds amid a bull run. Blaine's trades eventually flagged under scrutiny, leading to his suspension, mandatory ethics training, and fine repayments that clawed back some of his ill-gotten gains. Clients, sensing the shift in reliability, migrated to my independent advisory service that I'd quietly launched on the side, boosting my income tenfold with referral bonuses and performance fees. As my account balances grew green and steady, a profound empowerment surged through me, like closing a profitable position after weathering volatility. Secure your data like treasure in a vault. Encryption and backups are the keys to ownership and peace of mind. Explore alternative markets boldly and with due diligence. Variety not only hedges against betrayal but opens doors to unforeseen opportunities. Redirect every loss into a learning curve. It compounds into greater gains over time, building compound interest on your resilience. Financial freedom flourishes through vigilant innovation and ethical practices, converting the covetousness of others into your personal catalyst for lasting wealth and independence. Diving into a storm of the heart that raged fiercer than any tempest, this emotional ambush came from my longtime partner, Theo, whose presence once filled my days with warmth but now left only echoes of deceit. We'd shared a cozy home in the suburbs, a place adorned with mementos from our travels, framed photos from beach sunsets, souvenirs from city escapes, filled with laughter over homemade dinners and plans for a future that included rings, a house with a garden and perhaps kids someday. But subtle whispers of doubt turned to concrete evidence one rainy afternoon when I glanced at his phone during a moment of insecurity. Flirty messages laced with emojis, secret meetups with a coworker arranged under the guise of work overtime, all while he professed undying love with flowers and apologies for his stress. The revelation gutted me to the core, leaving deep scars of inadequacy that made me question my attractiveness, my choices, and even my ability to trust again, plunging me into isolation where friends' calls went unanswered and nights blurred into tear-soaked pillows. The emotional void was vast, a chasm that swallowed my self-esteem and left me adrift in a sea of what-ifs. Revenge emerged not as vengeance but as an emotional rebirth, a phoenix rising from the ashes of heartbreak. No bitter outbursts or dramatic scenes that could escalate into regret. Instead, I focused inward with deliberate care, joining support groups where strangers' stories mirrored my pain, offering solidarity in shared vulnerability. I practiced mindfulness through guided apps and morning walks in the park, rebuilding my shattered esteem brick by brick, breath by breath. To channel the ache productively, I turned to music, a passion I'd neglected during our relationship, composing songs on my old guitar that captured the raw vulnerability of betrayal, with lyrics that wove threads of sorrow and strength, performing them at local open mics where the applause felt like validation from the universe. Theo inevitably heard my tracks circulating online through mutual friends, the lyrics echoing our fallout in haunting melodies that prompted his regretful messages begging for closure. But by then I'd evolved beyond needing his validation. New friendships blossomed from those support circles, genuine connections that laughed with me over coffee, and a healthier romance ignited with someone who valued transparency and kindness. My music career sparked unexpectedly, with gigs turning into studio recordings that not only healed my wounds but resonated with listeners worldwide, offering solace to others navigating similar storms. Restore your core through daily affirmations and small acts of self-kindness. They mend the invisible breaks that betrayal inflicts. Create from the chaos of emotions. Art alchemizes pain into a powerful force for personal expression and connection. Open yourself to new connections wisely with boundaries intact. They illuminate paths forward that were once shrouded in darkness. Emotional wholeness arises from intentional healing practices and forgiveness of self, transforming the treason of others into a rich tapestry of personal triumph and renewed vitality. In a cerebral clash at my consulting firm that tested the limits of my mental fortitude, my adversary Lyle wielded words like precision weapons in a battle of wits. As project lead on high-profile accounts, I'd innovate solutions tailored to client needs, drawing from years of case studies and data-driven insights, only for him to dissect them ruthlessly in team reviews, attributing imaginary flaws to my overambition, while covertly adopting the core ideas for his own proposals. The psychological drain was insidious and cumulative. Confidence eroded slowly like sand through fingers, ideas stifled before they could fully form, leaving me in a loop of self-doubt during brainstorming sessions. The peak of torment came at an industry conference where he presented my comprehensive framework for sustainable business models as his own breakthrough, earning accolades, handshakes, and networking opportunities while I was sidelined to a panel discussion, watching from the audience with a forced smile. I countered this onslaught with mental mastery, fortifying my psyche like building a firewall against intrusions. No reciprocal mind games or passive-aggressive retorts that could poison the workplace. Instead, I refined my approaches through advanced courses in strategic thinking, patenting key methodologies to establish legal ownership and sharing them via industry webinars where transparency became my ally. The webinar attendees, sharp-eyed professionals from across the sector, quickly recognized the origins of the ideas in my earlier publications. Lyle's credibility cracked under the weight of scrutiny as questions arose about his inspirations. He stepped back from the spotlight voluntarily, citing personal reasons, while I headlined subsequent events, mentoring emerging consultants on ethical innovation and collaborative practices. The shift in my career trajectory was clarifying, like emerging from fog into clear daylight. Sharpen your intellect continuously through lifelong learning. Knowledge serves as unyielding armor against appropriation and deceit. Publish your work proactively and widely. A public record safeguards your genius and invites constructive dialogue. Advocate for fair play in every professional arena. It not only elevates the entire field but fosters environments where true talent thrives. Psychological prowess builds from steadfast authenticity and resilience, turning the theft of ideas into a throne of well-earned expertise and leadership. Ever transformed a setback into your secret superpower? Spill in the comments. What unlocked your potential and how did it change your outlook? The deception unfolded in the glow of boardroom lights that cast long shadows across polished mahogany tables. I was Sophia, head of acquisitions at Venture Dynamics, a dynamic firm specializing in mergers that shaped entire industries, where my role involved negotiating deals with the finesse of a diplomat, balancing risks and rewards to expand our portfolio. My assistant, Reed, whom I'd trusted with sensitive documents and schedules, betrayed that confidence by leaking confidential bids to competitors under the table, inflating his own value through backchannel alliances while sabotaging my negotiations. The lost contracts amounted to millions in potential revenue, directly hitting my performance metrics, slashing my year-end payout and casting doubt on my judgment during executive reviews. The financial fallout rippled outward, delaying my plans for a charitable foundation I'd dreamed of starting. Financial revenge brewed strategically within the bounds of integrity, a calculated pivot rather than retaliation. No corporate espionage or shadowy dealings that could invite lawsuits. Instead, I traced the leaks through meticulous metadata analysis in our secure systems, compiling solid proof from timestamps and IP logs that I reported to internal affairs with a comprehensive dossier. In parallel, I launched a side venture in angel investing, leveraging my honed eye for promising startups by attending pitch events and reviewing business plans late into the night. Reed's treacherous actions boomeranged spectacularly. He was fired amid the revelations, blacklisted in industry circles, while my personal investments yielded impressive returns that funded my full independence from the firm. Prosperity felt truly earned, a testament to perseverance amid adversity. Trace all transactions transparently and habitually. Regular audits reveal hidden hands and prevent future breaches. Seed personal ventures early and nurture them. They bloom vibrantly beyond the shadows of betrayal, providing alternative paths. Elevate yourself from exploitation by envisioning broader horizons. This vision turns voids left by loss into vaults overflowing with new opportunities. Financial ascendancy thrives on proactive protection and adaptive strategies, morphing the malice of betrayers into your mastery over monetary realms. Emotionally, the sting from sisterly strife nearly broke me in ways I hadn't anticipated, unraveling the fabric of family ties I'd always taken for granted. Clara, my sibling and once closest confidant since childhood, with whom I'd shared countless secrets over late-night talks and holiday gatherings, spread those very family secrets to gain favor in our extended circle, portraying me as unstable and unreliable to mask her own deep-seated insecurities about her career stagnation. The isolation at family gatherings was palpable, the whispered judgments behind hands, the sidelong glances that made me feel like an outsider in my own bloodline, eroding my sense of belonging and leaving me withdrawn during what should have been joyful reunions. I forged emotional fortitude in response, rebuilding from the ground up with quiet determination. No escalating family feuds or confrontational blow-ups that could fracture bonds irreparably. Instead, I set firm boundaries through calm, assertive communications during one-on-one conversations, while pursuing therapy sessions to unpack the complex dynamics of our relationship, exploring patterns rooted in our upbringing. I documented our shared history in a private memoir initially for catharsis, evolving it over months into a self-published guide on navigating sibling bonds, filled with anecdotes and advice drawn from experts. Clara eventually confronted her own reflection in the positive reviews and reader testimonials that circulated in our family chats, leading to a tentative reconciliation where apologies were exchanged over coffee. My work unexpectedly connected me to a global audience healing similar rifts, through online forums and book clubs where stories of mending inspired hope. Boundaries are essential bridges to healthier relations. Enforce them with empathy to allow space for growth on both sides. Chronicle your personal journey thoughtfully. Writing reveals hidden resolutions and patterns that lead to understanding. Seek external validation sparingly and selectively. True inner peace persists independent of others' opinions. Emotional equilibrium emerges from empathetic assertion and self-reflection, converting interpersonal conflict into a foundation of compassionate clarity and stronger connections. Psychologically, in the hallowed halls of academia where I worked as a researcher, my peer Dr. Vance played the role of a subtle puppeteer, pulling strings from the shadows. He'd offer to critique my paper's pre-submission with what seemed like collegial intent, incorporating my suggestions into his own work before publishing similar findings first, crediting only a vague inspiration in footnotes. The doubt he seeded was profound. Was I truly original or just a stepping stone? It culminated in him scooping the theme of my meticulously prepared grant proposal for interdisciplinary studies, leaving me to scramble for alternatives. I orchestrated a mental rebound with calculated poise, turning vulnerability into strategy. No direct plagiarism claims that could sour professional relationships. Instead, I collaborated openly with broader networks of scholars, co-authoring pieces to establish clear timelines and shared credits through joint submissions. Dr. Vance's solo efforts faltered under rigorous peer reviews that highlighted inconsistencies. Meanwhile, mine flourished with the strength of collective input, leading to successful collaborations. I secured the funding I'd aimed for, establishing a dedicated lab focused on inclusive science practices that emphasized transparency. Awareness of such tactics sharpened my perspective immeasurably. Collaborate strategically with trusted allies. These alliances affirm your authenticity and amplify impact. Timestamp your thoughts and ideas digitally from inception. Chronology serves as a robust combatant against copies and claims. Promote shared success in all endeavors. It not only sustains your sanity but cultivates a supportive ecosystem. Psychological serenity stems from communal creativity and ethical engagement, transmuting trickery into triumphant collaborative conquests that advance knowledge for all. Has Betrayal birthed your boldest move yet? Share below, what ignited your evolution and propelled you forward? It started with a whisper of doubt in the vibrant startup scene, where innovation pulsed like a heartbeat in co-working spaces filled with entrepreneurs pitching dreams over laptops. I was Tessa, the passionate founder of a tech app disrupting logistics with smart algorithms that optimize delivery routes in real time, reducing carbon footprints for e-commerce giants. My investor pal Damon, whom I'd met at an accelerator program and trusted with early prototypes, promised substantial funding after glowing reviews but diverted it covertly to a clone venture he backed secretly, poaching my beta testers in the process. The resulting cash crunch nearly sank my company entirely, forcing painful layoffs of talented team members I'd handpicked and resorting to personal loans that strained my finances to the breaking point. Financial revival became my riposte, a resilient comeback story scripted with grit. No immediate lawsuits that could drain resources further. Instead, I bootstrapped innovations by refining the app's core features through user feedback loops, then launched crowdfunding campaigns via platforms like Kickstarter, emphasizing transparency and community involvement to highlight our integrity. Damon's clone venture flopped amid emerging scandals about data privacy breaches. Disillusioned backers flocked to my resilient model, drawn by our ethical stance. Revenue rebounded stronger than ever, scaling globally with partnerships that expanded our reach. In the embrace of this hard-won stability, core principles solidified like bedrock. Crowdfund creatively and authentically. Community support counters corruption and builds loyal advocates. Bootstrap your basics with resourcefulness. Self-reliance secures survival in uncertain terrains. Innovate relentlessly through adversity. Persistence pays premiums in the form of sustainable growth. Financial fortitude forges from faithful execution and unwavering values, shifting sabotage into the fuel for soaring success and entrepreneurial legacy. The emotional eclipse came from my muse and collaborator, artist Kai, whose creative synergy once inspired masterpieces in our shared studio, a sunlit space cluttered with canvases, paints, and sketches born from late-night inspirations. Our partnership blended my conceptual designs with his execution, producing works that blended digital and traditional media. But he began claiming our joint creations as solo endeavors, exhibiting them to critical acclaim in galleries while erasing my contributions from descriptions and credits, diminishing my artistic voice to a footnote at best. The erasure felt like a theft of the soul, leaving me questioning my talent and place in the art world, withdrawing from shows and struggling with creative blocks. I responded with emotional illumination, reigniting my inner fire. No art wars or public disputes that could tarnish reputations. Instead, I pivoted to solo exhibitions showcasing my evolutions, infusing deeply personal narratives drawn from life experiences that resonated on a profound level with viewers. Kai's fame waned as questions about authenticity arose in critiques and forums. Mine ascended with loyal patrons who appreciated the raw honesty, leading to renewed collaborations with true partners who shared credit equitably. Express yourself uniquely and unapologetically. Individuality outshines any imitation and draws genuine admiration. Heal through the act of creation itself. It restores rhythm to disrupted passions and mends the spirit. Value reciprocal respect in all partnerships. It nurtures nourishment for sustained inspiration. Emotional vibrancy vibrates from vulnerable voicing and self-advocacy, alchemizing appropriation into a state of artistic autonomy and fulfillment. Psychologically, at the prestigious law firm where I practiced as a litigator, my associate Quinn queried my cases constantly under the pretense of learning, only to undermine them in court preparations by suggesting flaws that he then fixed in his own filings, stealing the spotlight during trials. The mental maze this created led to constant hesitation, second-guessing my once-sharp strategies, and a creeping anxiety that affected my courtroom presence. The apex of this ordeal came when he argued a high-profile brief I'd drafted as his original work, winning a promotion while I faced scrutiny for oversights. I built psychological barriers to reclaim my ground, fortifying my mind like preparing an airtight case. No barbed retorts or office politics. Instead, I mentored junior associates on ethical practices, while documenting my legal doctrines and precedents in published journals for the Bar Association. Quinn's haste in appropriations exposed his own errors in subsequent cases. My methodical approach and rising publications earned me partnership status. The firm tightened policies on collaboration credits as a result. Reflect routinely on your experiences. Introspection insulates against illusions and builds clarity. Journal judiciously to track progress. Records refute revisions and affirm your path. Mentor magnanimously and with purpose. Guidance generates goodwill and strengthens your network. Psychological poise prospers from principled practice and consistency, converting cunning maneuvers into clear career advancements and professional integrity. What adversary accelerated your ascent in unexpected ways? Confess in the comments. How did it redefine you in your approach to challenges?